Orcs and Elves might not catch your eye at first. It's got a pretty generic name, the box art doesn't tell you much, and when this came out, mobile game ports weren't exactly winning any Game of the Year awards. But don't let that fool you, this dungeon crawler is snappy. It's polished and way better than you'd expect. The first thing that stands out is how condensed everything feels, but not in a bad way. The dungeons are tight, and they're packed with puzzles, traps, and enemies. They're small enough that you won't get lost if you pick this up after a break, but still big enough to keep things challenging and satisfying. The second thing you might notice is how well it runs. This may not come across in the recording, but when you're playing this on original hardware, it's shocking how smooth it is. And it makes sense when you realize the lead programmer is none other than John Carmack, the coding genius behind Doom and Quake. This game was id Software's first new IP since Quake, and it runs on a modified version of the Doom RPG engine, which itself was originally made for mobile phones. This game was then ported to the DS. It's a perfect mix of quick, engaging gameplay and tactical depth, and thanks to the smooth engine, everything feels responsive, whether you're blasting skeletons with fireballs or solving tricky puzzles to unlock the next area. This is one dungeon crawler you'll be glad you didn't overlook. Bangai O Spirits is a game that's equal parts chaotic, creative, and downright bizarre. Released for the DS in 2008, Bangai O Spirits is an off-the-wall mashup of action and puzzle genres. It doesn't bother with the story. Instead, the game throws you into over 160 unique, increasingly absurd levels, where you'll find yourself doing everything from solving block-moving puzzles to playing baseball with your enemies. Literally, with your enemies, even if they don't want to play. Before each level, you'll need to carefully choose your loadout. Do you go with homing missiles, napalm blast, anti-missile defenses, or maybe something a little bit more unusual? How about a sword, or better yet, that baseball bat? It feels so good to swing bullets back right at enemies. The game constantly challenges you to think outside of the box, making every stage feel like its own unique time attack puzzle. And here's where Bangai O Spirits truly shines, the level editor. Players could create their own stages and share them using the DS's microphone system.
David, play it. The game converts the level to a sound file.
You'd hold your DS up to another speaker to download custom levels, and the best part, many of these creations are still preserved online today, meaning this game's replayability is practically infinite. Bangai O Spirits is more than just a hidden gem. It's a love letter to fans of mecha action with just enough weirdness to make it unforgettable. Whether you're a fan of high-octane shoot-em-ups or intricate puzzles, this game has something for everyone. Lost in Blue is an original survival classic, a game that was ahead of its time, in which you can see the genesis of mechanics now commonplace in modern survival games. The series first started on Game Boy under the title Survival Kids, but come 2005, Lost in Blue evolved the series when it jumped to the dual screens. You're put in the shoes of a shipwrecked survivor stranded on a deserted island. Your cruise ship, gone. Your vacation, ruined. Now all you have is a beach, a thirst meter, and an endless supply of coconuts. So many coconuts. The premise might seem simple, but that's what makes it so refreshing. You're not alone though. Early on, you meet another survivor, a legally blind companion who, let's just say, isn't the most helpful. The two of you form a bond as you explore deeper into the island, scavenging for supplies and working together to survive.
And with a keen eye along with sharp reflexes, you'll find that food is not hard to find. Say hello.
Coconut.
It's a slow start. In the beginning, you're scraping by on coconuts and seaweed. So many coconuts. And it does feel grueling, but that friction is what makes the game so rewarding. Over time, you get better tools, you find better food, and most importantly, you get better at surviving. Every step forward feels like a personal victory. Lost in Blue isn't for everyone. It's challenging and quite slow at times, and it asks for quite a bit of patience. But for those willing to dive in, it's an unforgettable journey of survival and discovery, a true hidden gem on the Nintendo DS. The Simple series is a long-running line of budget games from Japan that started all the way back in 1998 on the PS1. These games are exactly what you'd expect. Simple, often generic, but always cheap. But every now and then, a real standout sneaks its way into the lineup. Simple DS Series Volume 18 is one of those standouts, a glorious military-themed 2D mecha action game that's... And wait, hold on a second, is that another baseball bat? Apparently there's something about giant robots and baseball bats that just works. The game has you piloting a mech across a variety of missions. Sometimes you're just trying to reach the end of a level, other times you're destroying enemies, guarding valuable items, or blowing up enemy caches. The controls feel great, weighty yet responsive, and the animation makes every stomp and attack feel satisfying. The environments are surprisingly varied and look fantastic on the DS's small screen. Whether you're trudging through dense forests, smashing your way through city streets, or scaling mountainous terrain, everything is crisp, clean, and full of detail. Between missions, you head back to base to tinker with your mech. You can swap out parts, buy upgrades, and even customize your mech's colors. Unfortunately, you won't be able to paint it bright pink or neon green, it's a little bit too militaristic for that. But hey, subtle tweaks can still be pretty cool. And yeah, the menus are in Japanese, but with a little bit of trial and error or Google Lens, it's pretty easy to figure out what's what. The Soko Kie Gun Ground is an absolute gem in the Simple DS lineup. It's not every day you get a game that's so goddamn British it practically oozes tea and crumpets. Enter Henry Hatsworth in the puzzling adventure, a criminally underrated DS gem that combines side-scrolling action with fast-paced puzzle solving in the most charmingly absurd way possible. You play as Henry Hatsworth, an exceptionally dapper adventurer on a quest for the Golden Suit, a magical ensemble that gives its wearer unparalleled power. But here's the twist. While the top screen's a classic action platformer, the bottom screen is a puzzle game that you have to manage simultaneously. Because why settle for one genre when you can have two? Matching blocks on the puzzle board isn't just a distraction, it's essential. Clearing blocks powers up your attacks, unleashes special abilities, and keeps enemies from rising back up to your platforming world. Balancing both screens is chaotic in the best way. And of course, as a proper British gentleman, Henry doesn't just fight, he fights with style. Over the course of the game, you'll unlock everything from a fancy blunderbuss to a tea-fueled super mecha mode. Wait a sec, no baseball bat? Get this out of here! Oh, Ketsui, one of the hardest, most brutal bullet hell shmups out there. If you're even somewhat familiar with Cave's bullet hell catalogue, you'll know just how infamous Ketsui is. This game's insane, it's unforgiving, intricate, and will straight up laugh at your lack of skill. But somehow, someway, it exists on the DS.
Out of the way, you!
Sure, it's a little bit more limited than the original arcade version and its home console ports, but it still delivers that relentless bullet hell goodness in a tight, portable package. Think of it like a portable boss rush from hell. The screen can get a bit busy with the scoring medals flying around, but you're too busy dodging literal balls of death bullets to care. And let's be real, sometimes you just need to suffer. And sometimes you don't want to be at home while doing it, so you pull out your DS, grit your teeth, and start working through the pain. Hey look, it's another Match 3 game. Henry Hatsworth was dapper, but Meteos is explosive. Released in 2005 for the Nintendo DS, this game takes the Match 3 formula we all know and love and cranks it up to 11. Instead of simply clearing tiles, you're launching them into orbit. The premise is pretty simple. Align 3 or more tiles of the same color vertically or horizontally to ignite them and then launch them skyward. But here's the twist. Gravity. It is not your friend. Depending on the weight of the blocks and the planet you're on, you might need a chain of combos to build enough thrust to break free of the atmosphere. And speaking of planets, the game's variety is insane. Each planet you visit has its own gravitational pull, block types, and even sound effects, making every stage feel distinct. Some levels are chill and methodical, while others feel like a chaotic race against time as meteors rain down faster than you can handle. You'll also want to pick which planets you're playing on to scour the galaxy for various minerals and ores because there's a hefty amount of content to craft. After launching Meteos from any stage, they'll be stored as a sort of currency, which you can then use to expand the game further and further. It adds a nice little bit of meta strategy in how you progress, and it's incredibly addictive. And those controls. This game makes full use of the DS's touchscreen, letting you quickly drag blocks around with the stylus at lightning speed. It's so satisfying to pull off a quick combo and watch as your entire stack rockets into space. Sometimes a game is just good, damn good, and Meteos is just that. You've probably heard of Super Smash Bros. Or maybe Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, maybe even Multiverses. But what about Jump Ultimate Stars? This criminally underrated gem brings together a massive roster of manga characters and some of the most creative and chaotic mascot fighting you'll ever see. The roster is insane, pulling characters from across Shonen Jump's history: Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh!, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Bleach, just to name a few. If you've ever wondered who would win in a fight between Frieza and Ichigo, this is the game for you. It's Frieza, by the way. Frieza would always win.
What are you talking about? Let me touch your skin.
But what sets this game apart isn't just the roster, it's how you build your deck. Think of it like organising your infantry in Resident Evil 4, but instead of guns and herbs, you're slotting in fighters, special attacks and buffs. Each character has multiple forms, and the stronger they are, the more space they take up. So, do you focus on one insanely powerful fighter, or load up on a diverse team to keep your opponent guessing? The customization is really endless. The single player mode is packed with challenges, each set in different themed worlds. You might throw down with Dark Magician in the Yu-Gi-Oh! World, or fight Ketsui in the Fist of the North Star arena, but the real magic of Jump Ultimate Stars is its multiplayer. The game is deep. Between team building, fast-paced combat, and the sheer number of strategies you can employ, every match feels fresh and exciting. Even now, Jump Ultimate Stars is a blast to play. Sure, it's tricky to find a group of friends to play it with these days, but if you're a fan of mascot fighters or just love the idea of seeing your favourite manga characters in one insane crossover, this game's absolutely worth checking down. If your birth year starts with a 19, you might remember a little gem called The Incredible Machine. If not, give it a quick Google. Coropata is a Rube Goldberg machine-inspired puzzle game that takes the classic chain reaction formula and infuses it with a ton of personality. Your goal? Help the adorable main character navigate quirky physics-based puzzles to reach your objectives. Whether you're delivering a radish to a friend or tackling trickier contraptions, there's always a creative challenge waiting. The game is entirely in Japanese, but don't let that scare you away. It's surprisingly intuitive, and tools like Google Lens can make translating objectives a breeze. Once you get the hang of it, you'll barely notice the language barrier at all. The difficulty curve is, let's call it dynamic. Some puzzles are so straightforward you can almost solve them by accident, while others will have you scratching your head for hours as you try and build the perfect over-the-top contraption. But personally, I think that's part of the charm. What really sets Coropata apart is its solid physics engine for the DS. You're rarely locked into solving puzzles in just one way, and I love games that let you experiment, and Coropata delivers. More often than not, I felt like I was breaking the game with some off-the-wall solution, and honestly, isn't that just the best feeling in any puzzle game? And since Coropata never saw a release outside of Japan, it's one of those hidden treasures that even DS fans might have missed. Whether you're a fan of physics-based puzzles, cutesy aesthetics, or just love a game that lets you flex your creativity, Coropata is absolutely worth tracking down. Fighting games can be a bit of a tough nut to crack. They need speed, precision, and enough depth to keep both casual players and die-hard fans engaged. Not exactly something you'd expect from a handheld game, but Bleach, The Blade of Fate delivers on all of that. Based on the anime series Bleach, this game boasts a roster packed with all your favourite characters from the series' early seasons. Whether you want to slice through enemies with Ichigo's powerful attacks, master Renji's versatile whip blade, keep your distance with Uryu's ranged arrows, or just punch your way to victory as Chad, there's a character here for everyone. The gameplay feels familiar for fans of classic 2D fighters like Street Fighter, complete with combo chains, special cancels, and super meter management. But don't let its accessibility fool you, this game has layers. The challenge mode teaches intricate combos, and mastering every character's playstyle will keep you coming back for more. What really sets The Blade of Fate apart is its multiplayer. With the DS's local play and download play, you could battle with up to 4 players in modes like free-for-all or 2v2 team battles. The game's dual plane system, where you can switch between foreground and background, adds a whole new layer of strategy, especially in chaotic multiplayer matches. Feeling brave? Take on 3 AI opponents at once in an all-out brawl. It's hectic, it's fast-paced, and it's ridiculously fun. The fact that all of this works as smoothly as it does on the DS is nothing short of impressive. Whether you're a fan of Bleach, a fighting game enthusiast, or just someone looking for an underrated DS gem, The Blade of Fate is an absolute knockout. With tight mechanics, a strong roster, and innovative multiplayer, it's a testament to how good handheld fighters can actually be.